Hi everyone, my name is Sherry Jacobs and I'll be your professor for ECED 3012 that begins on September 28th and ends on October the 31st. I'll share a little bit about myself before I get into the course. I have taught at Mount Vernon, Tiffin, and Ashland, and my favorite courses have to do with um, reading, curriculum, and assessment, and teaching English language learners. I have a degree in ESL for that area. I have a K-12 reading endorsement, and I have served as an academic coach and professor for a great deal of time. So I'm going to pull the course syllabus up. Oh, I also live with my husband Steve and our Shih Tzu Bailey, who is getting old and cranky. I have two children. One of them is a teacher, and one of them is an attorney. And I lead a pretty busy life that I enjoy very much. All right, so here is the syllabus, our text, our objectives, matched into all the areas like MBNUs and the diversity standards and the Ohio teacher standards and so on. So I'm not going to go over every little section of the syllabus here at the top. That information is there. That is generic for all of your courses, and I'm sure you are used to knowing what goes on there. If you're relatively new, you can go through and read that. So I'm going to go by that. Remember, some people really like working ahead. I'm like that myself, and I really respect that. However, you must do something to interact with our course each academic week. So just keep that in mind. Nothing can be turned in past the last night of class unless it has been accepted before then and approved by the dean. Here's a grading scale. It's the same as of any department at the university. Here are points for this particular class, and here are the assignments for each week. So that's obviously your most important piece that you need. And get rid of that. I had it pulled up already. So we always have the Ask the Instructor button and prayer requests. If you should post to the Ask Your Professor slot, if you would do me a favor of just shipping me a quick email to let me know, because when I'm with my phone and not a computer, then I can't get into that very easily. That way we'll make sure that I get you responded to your course right away, or your questions about the course. So keep in mind some things. Each week, you're going to have a reading and chapter artifacts assignment. And this is the rubric for that. I'm very rubric driven, as you will need to be when you're teaching full time, so that we're accountable. So here are the elements: summary of the most important points from the chapter, making use of academic language presented in the chapter, and defining important terms, discusses issues, trends, or strategies presented in the text, and makes application to their personal role as an educator. And you want to, of course, go over here to where you get 8 to 10 points and keep these things in mind, because nobody wants to get the 0 to 3 points. And they build on each other. They're cumulative, so that's helpful as well. Okay, this is an observe, record, and assess rubric. This is at the very end of the course in week 5, which I will have you think very hard about what, just kind of getting that started earlier, I guess, so that you're not working on everything at the very end. So this is the rubric that goes with it. There are 5 videos that you will be viewing, and then you'll be putting the name and description of the video, the answer to the question posed by the observer, which you will see when you get into the assignment, rationale for your choice of instruments used, reflections of the process, data analysis of observations, and completed observation instruments. Now, as I said, this is worth 100 points, and it's still in week 5. Now, each week we will also have discussion boards. These are pretty uniform throughout courses. A couple things I want to point out. You must have, excuse me, you must use APA. Your initial post needs to be 250 to 500 words, and your response post needs to be 150 to 250 words. So make sure that you look at all these things. They're very key in making sure that you grab those points that you want each week. Okay, now here is the weekly artifacts. You'll have, like it says weekly, it is weekly. So you'll be having those, and this is just a big explanation of, excuse me, I had recently had mouth surgery, and my mouth is still a little dry or twisted, so pardon me for stopping and starting there like that. So it starts out that you have to choose an artifact, a digital artifact tool, and you're going to post that in the Moodle site, and then you'll be using that to respond to your chapter readings, highlighting important events, concepts, strategies, and learning ideas from the assigned reading. For example, excuse me, week 1 has readings of 1 and 3. After reading these chapters, you'll choose and then create an artifact for summarizing both chapters. Not just one, but both of them. That will be submitted to the course Moodle site. You're going to be using a different digital artifact tool each week. That's important. And they're each due by Saturday at midnight. So here are the types of artifacts you can have. A summary of the most important points. You can make use of the academic language presented in the chapter by defining important terms. You can discuss the issues, trends, and strategies presented in the text, or you can use it to make application to your role as an educator. So those are the artifact types. Now here are the tools that you will use to make that. You can create an infographic using Piktochart. You can create a YouTube video, making sure you mark that as public. You can create a word cloud with the academic terms from the chapter. You can create an animated video discussing the chapter. You can create an assessment tool that was presented in the chapter. Give a summary at the beginning of what was presented in the chapter and what your assessment tool is intended to measure. And again, you can create a Prezi. You can create some type of assessment for the chapter material quiz on a Word doc. So like week 1, you'll be doing that with chapters 1 and 3, week 2 with chapters 4 and 5, and so on. When you first start looking at this, I think it looks a little daunting, but actually, as you fall into a routine and understand what, by working on the first one, it'll just make a whole lot more sense to you. So now we're going to slip on down. And what we're seeing right now, you're seeing is a course overview. Each week I'll have the learning outcomes and assignments will be laid out at the beginning. Here's our learning outcomes or objectives. Here's the reading. Here's the discussion forum. And here are the assignments. You'll notice at the end of each week, assignments, I have this observe, record, and assess assignment listed. It's really important that you work ahead on that if at all possible. So you'll see that at the beginning of each week. There's an introduction video that you need to do that is due Tuesday. Just a short video is fine. Nothing special, and nobody has to respond to that classmate's post or that video. All you do is just introduce yourself. And here are 4 bulletins, just kind of starters of what you can do in that to help you out. Okay, and again, you have to make sure that when you share it, it can be viewed by other people by marking it with public or giving people a link, depending on what tool you use. Okay. Here's the discussion forum. We've already run over the guidelines. The initial post is Wednesday, and the response is on Saturday. And so what you're going to be doing is responding to this prompt. Assessment can help you discover children's distinctive approaches to learning. If children looked at your attitudes, values, habits, and learning styles as an adult learner, what do you hope they would find and take into account? What would you like to change? I keep that discussion rubric right out there with me. Okay, this is the first module. You'll be having one of these each week. And they're each different. So here's the description, and it's laid out very clearly what you need to do here. I'm not going to go through and read it to you because I know you're capable of reading this for yourself. And as you can tell, I'm starting to lose my voice. Remember, it asks you to do 3 to 5 word pages. And I think these, I really think that these modules are very good at kind of just focusing in on how assessment works each week. And here is our week 1 chapter artifacts. That's where you put that down. Remember, you have to include both chapters. So that's just a quick overview of what is happening in this course. I'll be having another video for you next week, and we'll be talking about more specific terms, what's going on, and about the material that you're covering in your text. I so look forward to working with each and every one of you, and don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have